What's this I'm seeing? The Trump's hurricane gun. It was almost too stupid for words, a former Trump official told Rolling Stone. Trump once asked his aides if China had developed a hurricane gun. Hey, they talked about that years and years ago when I was down in Tennessee. They do. They have. Well, I wouldn't. Well, I mean, they don't call it a hurricane gun, but I guess Trump does with the HAARP, HARP, and all that. And what about other? Well, everybody. There's so many different companies. Everybody knows. Oh, it's unbelievable the amount of companies, and then you got these ones that we don't even know about, yada yada. But oh, of course they know how to manipulate the weather. It isn't very complex. I mean, we learn about the system in school. You have evaporation, you got condensation, and it just comes down to that. It's like, hey, we need some kind of machine that causes evaporation or causes condensation. And I don't think it's too hard. I think they do it through a variety of different ways. They can heat up the atmosphere, is what they told me back in 2008. Back in Tennessee. That's when the feds first picked me up. They said, well, basically, they would talk to me because my dad was a property owner and I was more of this hard-working kid in the office. No one knew it. No one knew it until the money started rolling in and all the stuff that a man wants became mine, is when people started to give me more respect or what have you for the positions and whatnot. Yeah, I've worked with the feds, and one of the things that they told me was, yeah, they have a technology to do that, yada yada. A lot of the different countries do, and that's comes down to, well, I was going to say it's scary because we'll get into Trump in a minute. Yeah, we got the technology and they do too, or what have you. So everybody's got to be cool with each other. Kind of like everybody's, well, we are all neighbors in the country wise. But one thing I learned in jail is in the streets, you can snub somebody. In jail, you can't snub anybody, they'll get you. And that's kind of how it is with even business and all that in the real world. Same with the countries and their securities and whatnot. It's very much like that. And they crush, and it's a cold world. I mean, birds get crushed. Okay, and like if you've heard my story, I got I used to be a pristine white kid or whatever. And then I got hit pretty hard in jail by this one guy. And I had my tooth got severed or what have you, just like that or whatever. I had a broken tooth or whatever. Same goes for the countries or whatnot. Keep that story in mind or whatever. How easy it was for me to get hurt like that. Same thing goes for the entire country when it comes to this war stuff. See, one thing I didn't know before I had gotten traumatized was just how fragile we are as people. I mean, we learned with COVID, just breathing in or being, well, yeah, my sensories really picked up about smells and things on how they can harm us and all that. Even just the smell and all that can harm you. Okay? Even just the smell can harm you for like your entire life. So, what was I going to say? So, when it comes to, we think we're big and strong men, but all of us are very, very soft, brittle creatures. Very brittle and soft. We all are, no matter who we are. And I mean, they say the harder you are, the harder it's going to hit. The softer you are, the smoother it goes through you. But yeah, we take that risk, but that's the job of Homeland Security and all that, I guess. But this is one. Well, this is one effort. This is Donald's effort towards Homeland Security when it comes to these environmental manipulation devices or whatever they are. They're actually these big, gigantic um, systems, weather modification systems. They have them in airplanes. They got them in cannons. They got them in all different forms. Kind of like you want your medication in intravenous or you want it in pill. That's how they have these weapons. They're like, okay, we got the cannon version, we got the this kind of version. You know, it sits on the ground and it can create a storm from a certain area, and they can try to manipulate the trajectory on it to go a certain place. So so they could have this technology on a boat or a really nice warship or something, create a hurricane or et cetera, and send it your way. Like kind of the theory is with how come there's so many hurricanes that have been going and hitting the US over and over and over. Same with the tornadoes. Well, the tornadoes or whatever they say that's it happens because we're like a planetary system, kind of like there's storms in the solar system. So we're just like this planet or whatever, and we just so happen to have life on it and be in this certain position and all that they say or whatever, but we still have those storms just like other planets do. What's the planet that's famous for having a lot of storms? See, there's a lot of different storms. And we're just another planet, and one of our big storms is those tornadoes, and they rip up. Because if you look at our planet um from the um from the planetary side of it, like from the whole Earth globe, you can see that the US is in a area of the Earth that would be prone to those planetary storms. Now, you could also probably try to alter the planet some way to reduce those storms, but we haven't seen too many, but there was a couple. We just had that Kansas one, then Kentucky before that. And then I was down there for the ones before that, the Tennessee ones. It happens about every 10 years or whatever. It's famous. Since like that movie, The Yellow Brick Road with the Kansas and everything, they got a lot of tornado movies. It's famous. It happens every about 10, 12 years. You get a serious outbreak in that area. And you don't know where it's going to hit. Sometimes it always hits the same. Like, we're only going to live for 100 years or whatever we suppose. So it's like, it might be common in one area over and over for your whole life, or it might hit your area. Who knows? You don't know. That's the sort of the risk we take living. Actually, twisters can happen up here too, and they have. My father's house over in where was it? Just outside of Orangeville. His house got destroyed by a tornado back when my father was in his 20s. But they don't happen as often. When we get bad snowstorms, and our power will go out. That's the one thing I fear is like a blackout where our power goes out, there's no heat, and all that. It's kind of like we're at a certain position of humanity. Like everybody's filming how nice it is and how much cool stuff that we can do right now in the little part of space that we're in. But also at the same time, there's people that want to eat and live, and all that costs money. So that goes back to business and Donald's business. And we now have Joe, but remember they said that the presidents are still the president even after they get out of office. So we still got Donald work in business for the U.S. Near the beginning of Donald Trump's time in office, the then president had a pressing question for his national security aides and administration officials. Does China have the secret technology, a weapon, even to create a large Oh, it's not a secret. They have it. Okay, that's China. They're just as rich as the US, if not richer. Actually, they're richer because they're really smart Chinese people. They only drink green tea and yada yada. They have a lot more money in the bank and they have a lot more technology. So they have, but they love American people. So it's like everybody doing good, but they have it because they are a country just like anybody. And they're very powerful, just like US is very powerful. We are brother and sister, brother and brother, everything like that. It's no secret. They have the technology. What can we do to make them stop using it as much? You know, or maybe they're not using it at all. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's like don't tell them not to have it. They have it. It's more or less um obviously we haven't done it. And obviously everybody's still doing good on either side of the fence. So it's about provocation reduction, kind of like I think Joe said, and like kind of like making people less mad on either side of the fence. And they can do that, but don't call it food aid. They used to call it food aid and all that, but China doesn't need food aid. It's more of love with China. They got food. It's more of a love thing. They want to feel loved and smile. And one thing that I even price higher than money and food is laughter. Laughter is a big thing for me in my life. Like I said, it's worth more than money sometimes. Getting a good laugh. Like sometimes you get mad if you haven't had a good laugh in a while. And then you get that great chuckle that you've been dying to have. And and some people are addicted to laughing. Earl Nightingale. That reminds me of Abigail. She had one of those names. Look at this. Laughter is the best medicine in the world. All right. To create large man-made hurricanes and then launch them at the United States. And if so, would this constitute an act of war by a foreign power? And could the U.S. retaliate militarily? Then President Trump repeatedly asked about this, according to two former senior administration officials and a third person briefed on the matter. It was almost too stupid for words, said a former Trump official, sorry, familiar with the then sitting president's inquiry. I did not get the sense he was joking at all. Well, yeah, it could be seen as an act of war, in my opinion, by a foreign power, and it should be held accountable as such. I mean, we need to regulate these tools together to if we need to manipulate the weather for say when we're suffering from a great drought or something, we need to throw some moisture into the atmosphere to sort of. But then you have scientists that say not too much moisture because that may cause an indifference. You don't want to do that stuff. What else do we have here? We got Trump's hurricane gun story sets off Twitter tempest. Hey, the way he said it, it's like he's saying you want to. It's like it has to do with using the tools um, for harmful reasons, not they're using it like a well, not that a gun's a bad thing. A gun is a tool, but you know how easy it is to pull a trigger. They're just pulling the trigger with the hurricanes, but we haven't seen one this year yet or nothing really. Actually, it's been weird all the way around, okay? They said it was going to be like that when I got born or whatever, that the poles were going to shift and all that. We just had snow in Alberta, and it's like almost June of summer of 2022. You had hurricanes and tornadoes in December a few years back or whatever. It's just all the way flipped. You got late um, late winters and early summer, or late winters and late summers and all that. And I guess you can ask God for those things. You can put, well, it depends on where we are relative to the sun or whatever. You can manipulate that too. They can manipulate. They even nuclear bombed sent a missile at the moon before. They can manipulate. They can manipulate a lot of stuff. The scientists are very smart. I mean, look at my lithium-ion battery motorcycle. I just charge it in the wall, and I can go everywhere and very, very fast. But they say that lithium-ion, you got to watch it, right? Like, if you own lithium, I can feel the lithium ion in my apartment right now. I feel like. And then it just went down a little bit. That's my e-bike battery. It's huge, and it came from China. I can feel it, and it feels like China. That is my e-bike. I wish they would come up with a new battery technology or something for these e-bikes. I don't like it being lithium or whatever, but that's what we got in this world. That's what it is. It's like a radioactive battery thing that works or whatever. But they got to watch everybody that has one or whatever. And you seen those e-pens were blowing up. But it was only those e-pens or whatever. Nothing else did. And then they fixed that or whatever. We haven't seen that in a while. People's e-pens were blowing up right in their hands and all that. What's this?
Given the events of January 6th, given how he has undermined the election results, he incited people to come to D.C., stirred them up that morning, and failed to call them off. To me, that threatens our democracy.
So, yes.
I think the answer would, what else can you conclude, Brett?
Former president likes to be the center of attention. I think he's enjoying continuing to be the 800-pound gorilla, and he likes people coming down to Mar-a-Lago and kissing the ring, and he's not going away quietly. We didn't expect him to, right? But I don't think he's going to run. But if he does, that wouldn't impact my decision.
Why don't you think he will run?
I just think he's enjoying playing golf 5-6 days a week. I think he doesn't. His ego wouldn't take losing another election, and I think he's not getting any younger.
Should he run?
I don't think he should. No, I think it'd be better for the party if we moved on and looked towards the future rather than going back and repeating. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It was a terrible 4 years for the Republican Party. We lost the White House, we lost the Senate, we lost the House, we lost governors.
Like I said, Donald's still there. He's still president. He's still there when they need him for the business and all that, yada yada. He's great. We want to keep him alive and healthy and all that because he's great. We have him. We don't have to reelect him. We already got him. And that would just be sort of, it would be like fumbling a ball by trying to reelect the president that was already the president, I feel like. And then bring somebody new in with some new ideas, maybe after some good times with Biden and Kamala and all that. And do it like they did it like that, It's a nice refresher. Everybody's big into refreshments now. Beverages, bevies, bevs, and all that. It's the same thing with that. We want a nice refresher, but at the same time, they gotta be elected in, and they gotta be, I don't know who it would be after Kamala and Joe. And Joe and Kamala could go for 8 years. But after that, I wonder who. I don't know. That's quite a while still. That's still at least 6 years. Or, um, what is it? 6 years, or it could be just 2 more years, and then a new administration. Like I thought Doug Ford was very great, and then I learned, Doug Ford's up for reelection. So he's not the ultimate most powerful Mr. Doug Ford. I mean, that's how he comes across when he's in office. But no, he's up for reelection. And he's got to go through the process just like everyone else has to go through the process. But I think he'll come out on top because he's got a good initiative, and he always did. And then he had a good initiative when he was in office, and he did well with the COVID, they would have said, or whatever. And hey, there was a lot of cool things we've seen under Ford. Now that I think about it, we had that lockdown I liked. We had that mandation of the masks I liked for a short time. What else do we have? Oh, we had they alleviated they added the alcoholic beverages to certain delivery orders and whatnot. They did that. We didn't have that in Ontario. They did quite a bit. I'm not sure how long they get as premier. How long before election of premier? Electoral process. I know election day is June 2nd, within at least 5 years of the last one. So I think the longest they let it go is 5 years. It could happen in 4, it could happen in 3.5. Whenever the electoral committee and yada yada, the legislative, what is this? The Ontario government or whatever, whenever they decide to, or the federal government, whenever they decide to hold that election within that 5 year period, they do it. I want him back in because I'm on that disability, and they say they're going to increase it by. So he wants back in. I mean, if he's not tired or nothing like that or whatever, because he says that he's going to increase it by 55%, and there's all this money coming in next. I think if you elect Doug in, I mean, this is the time. It's like we did all this hard work or whatever, building back and all that, and then they just put out all this money for everyone. So like we have to have him back in and all that because it's almost like everybody's like it's almost like our big reward now for all the hard work that they've been doing. The big reward just came in. $198 billion, and they're saying that 440 million is going to go to people like me on disability, handicapped, have nothing. My grandfather died, my uncle died, I don't have my father, my mom's handicapped, my brother is handicapped, but they're here to help me because I'm a natural born citizen of Ontario. And they got, well, I'm not going to get 400 million. I'm going to get, I believe I calculated it to $55 additional on my monthly statement, on our monthly statement. On our monthly statements, I mean, sorry, because everybody's got their own individual statement. But yeah, that's what they're saying with him. But so that's what has me excited to see Doug. I'm just considering Doug. I don't know who's even running against them. They're like there hasn't been one name I've even heard yet that's running against him. It's just kind of like that's that he's going to be the premier again, or the next premier. Yes, you can, because he hasn't been the premier for that long. I feel like they just announced him as the next premier only a few years ago, and I was at rock bottom, and then now I'm at where I'm at, and I feel like a lot of people were at rock bottom, or not even that, but I feel like a lot of people have achieved a lot of things that they wanted to achieve in that time from the help of his government, because hey, he's related, he's Doug, he's like. But I think after, well, it's getting to that point though. I'd say in about 2 or 3 years, we could find another premier, maybe 4 years. They say me, but hey, you have to have a certain amount of money. Did you know that Doug Ford was an MP for a lot of years? Do you know the age of Doug? He's pretty old. He's older than me. I'm only 28. Doug is getting up there, right? Let's just put it that way. But he had to become the MP first, didn't he, or whatever, and yada yada, and MPP and all that. That's pretty hard. You gotta have significant money. So that's what I'm working on now. I mean, no, not anytime soon. I mean, I would have to. Right now, well, this is sort of. You're hearing my voice. You're getting to know me. I'm talking about Doug Ford. Yeah, you can donate to me, but it'd take millions and millions of dollars to keep up with the Ford, or to become the premier, of Ontario. So I would need millions of dollars donated to me, maybe a couple million. And that can be done through, well, it adds up, but I don't have millions. I have $0 in my account right now. I'm on disability. And I have $100 coming in on AdSense next month, extra income from these videos. The very video that you're watching right now is my extra income on ODSP. I have 100, and it's taxed. I pay the United States government automatically 30% because Google AdSense is from the United States, California, the state of California. It pays them 30% to their government. And do you know what that tax money covers? That covers military. That covers everything like that. So it's like anybody that tries to attack my AdSense money, that money, I'm paying the U.S. government 30% to cover services like military, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, I pay taxes. I'm the one that pays. Well, right now it ain't too much. I mean, 30% of $107, they're getting like $40. But hey, $40 is like a week and a half's groceries, I swear, of good stuff from Walmart. I mean, if you were gonna be like a skinny person, and like you could get a pack of $3.50 for a pack of cheese dogs, and then $1.50 for a pack of buns, and that's hot dogs and buns. And that's only like $6 total, and I've given them $40 every month. It only costs 25 cents for a bullet, and a magazine holds 30 rounds if it's a 30 round whatever, and 25 cents a bullet or whatever. I mean, like, I'm buying you boxes of bullets and whatever. Whatever you want to buy, you're buying it. So I'm secure, and that feels good. When you pay your taxes, you're secure with it. That's why I love paying the taxes. I just need to try harder as my personal self. And how that's going to happen is with somebody, I think, like a Doug Ford. He's been around in Canada since, it's the history with the guy. He's related, like kind of like Justin, like he's been in Canada, like he's not just some nimwit that doesn't know anything about the history of it. He knows about the 1970s and then the 1980s and the 90s and and the 2000s and the 2010s and where we're at now and even before the 70s and all that. I mean, same with Justin. I think Justin must have been born in the 70s, but he knows it. He grew up in Canada. He's not just some person that immigrated here and is trying to guess how to fit in. And that's why we like those ones. Yeah, that hurricane gun thing, we were talking that. Electoral process. I got the paper in the mail. You probably got the paper in the mail too. And I don't think it's too hard to do. I mean, he's giving us money. But he's not, because that's coercion of the vote, I think. He's not giving us money. He's just promising to increase the budget, for disability, which a great vast amount of people are on in Ontario and other provinces. So that'll be good. And then not only that, but they're also, if you like the way he's doing business, they're also have 197 more billion dollars. Actually 198 billion, because only 500 million or whatever is going to ODSP. So 500 million, because they're getting 198.6 billion. They just fresh out of the mint. Fresh out of the Royal Canadian Mint. Okay. They just printed the money and they just got appointed. The Queen signed the paper, and because that's how it works. The Royal Canadian Mint prints the money, and then the Queen says, she talks to Justin, and they say, we want 198 point this to Ontario, and we want this to that and the other. They have a whole system, and it's many other people, not just the Queen and yada yada. They got many people in the family, the Royal Canadian family, the Royal Canadian family were independent. I mean, the Queen hears about it and signs off on it, yada yada, but it comes down to more of the Royal Canadian family now too. All different Canadian families of the Royal Canadian family. So that's how that works. And then they I don't know how they transfer the money or whatever, but that's none of our business. They have their ways. And then, well, it actually is it's just in the Royal Bank, and it's protected by those soldiers or whatever that will give their life to protect the country's money. That's what your money is in the bank. Like there's soldiers that will go out and protect those walls, or else the entire country will collapse and we'll all die of famine and will be raped and mutilated. And that's what will happen if we didn't have the military. Yeah, it's like that. But hey, you can also go buy some collector's stuff on the Royal Canadian Mint. I've been watching with my eye, but unfortunately I can't afford any. But I was watching those 50-cent pieces they release every so often. You can buy a whole roll of them. I was looking at those, but then they sold out when I did have the $25 to buy them. Look at this one. This one's a really good one. Sorry for many older ones in Canada that like Blue Jays. Like, we all love the Blue Jay, and we see it every once in a while in Canada. I think I've seen 2 of them in the past couple of years. I think I see 1 Blue Jay a year. And that's your coin, your 1-ounce pure silver coin. And we have a lot of these cool colored coins too now. They've had those in the U.S. for a long time, those colored coins. And then now we started having our own color coins for quite some time now. And those colored coins have there's a big market. Like I didn't know. I started watching the videos and a lot of people love our colored currencies and stuff. Like those insulin ones had a big market behind them. A lot of medical people and stuff, scientific people like that one. And then they just have more and more. That's the Royal Canadian Mint. You can even you can buy stuff on there too. They don't just make the official currency, they also make collector currency. I love Canada. And I say that every day, every single day, even all day long. I just say I love Canada. Thank God. I love Canada. Thank God. When I'm riding my e-bike, I say it. Thank God. I love Canada. God bless. Well, God's already blessed Canada. So I say just thank God I live in Canada. Thank God. Because I could have been anywhere else, but I wanted to be in Canada. I was sort of a polar bear. I always loved polar bears. I always wanted to be a polar bear. And that's what a lot of us are up here in Canada are polar bears, especially the ones that have been in Canada for a while, like me, Phil Thompson, Doug Ford, my uncle Roy, I guess a bit, but we were the polar bears here in Canada. Sarah Lang's a polar bear. Like, yeah, we were big time polar bears, and then some people were like snow wolves or wolves. Or the gray wolf. They were even the gray wolf. Actually, they were more the gray wolf, and I say they're more the. Actually, they were gray wolves, but we have snow wolves too, and we got snow cats. My cat is a snow cat. Cats like snow, and some of them are like they've been in the snow environment for a lot of years, and they are more like a snow cat. But then they go inside to warm up, hopefully. Look at this one. Like this one right here is a real snow bobcat. Or, or this one is from one of those snow bobcat families, but then it got domesticated, sort of. And it's been domesticated for so long as a house cat that it has changed its bodily characteristics. Its bodily characteristics. This one's much like my cat. I think those ones are related to like a snow leopard, is what I always say, or one of those snow bobcats. A little bit. Yes, this one is just like my cat Len, just like Len, except way bigger. And I love my cat. I always wanted to meet a big cat though, but not everybody's lucky enough to meet a big cat. Big cat. They're vicious things though. Like my cat says stuff, you know what I mean? Like those big cats, I can't even imagine because it's funny when my cat says stuff and then he goes, "You think it's funny or whatever if I was a big cat and all that." But I laugh because he knows he's not going to be a big cat. But big cats are really big cats. So, like, that's the thing. My cat says rude stuff every once in a while, especially when he's hungry. Like, you gotta make sure they're fed. And I heard that about big cats because I know it with my little cat. He gets aggressive and starts saying some mean stuff. Because you can hear the cat in your head. That's the cat talking to you. They talk to you. Yeah, I didn't know it for, I think, 25 years. But yeah, that stuff you hear in your head or whatever, those little voices, that's the actual cat. The actual cat. That is not just you thinking it, that's the actual cat. And you thinking it. It's weird. It's this weird, I think it's that, my theory is that it's this hydrothalamus, they said. Hydrothalamus in your brain. It's like this communicator area of your brain that can communicate with other brains, even animals. That's what supposedly God told me it is. That's your hydrothalami. That's your hydrothalamus. We have this, well, it does a lot of things. Actually, not the hypothalamus. There's some, I don't know, that supposedly that's what it is. There's some part of the brain that can communicate with other brains. Kind of like an alien. Because you know they said we were kind of like E.T. the extraterrestrial. We were kind of like an alien. That's our alien thing. It's like that hydrothalamus. And I remember when I first discovered it. It was back 7 years ago in Teeswater. And I communicated with some people. I put my hand on the wall, sort of like a primate. And that's what I described it as back then. I was like, I'm putting my arm on the wall like a primate. Like you would see in that movie, um, like you would see in that movie, what's that movie? Planet of the Apes. Where where um they put they're acting more humanly, but uh, what is it? It's hard to find. King primate? I don't know. And they're holding on to a stick. It's an old, hard to find folklore, or not folklore, just primate history. Trying to find a good picture of it where they would go to not the stick. It would be like the top of the very top of the mountain. And it was in this movie. And they would communicate with all the other primates within the jungle and all